Hey guys, Adrienne here. How are you guys tonight? Adrienne here in Optimized Joy, founder of Sheroes and Shenanigans. Wanted to check in with y'all. Okay, so let's talk about shifting. What is it that you want to shift? What is it that you really want to create or start anew for your life? What is it that you are sitting there wishing I could just begin? If I could just begin. If I could just start, right? But here's what happens. If we don't actually start, then what happens is we think, okay, I'm going to do it. And then what hits next is kind of like the, I don't know if I want to. And then from there, it's kind of like we have to come up with a reason as to why we don't want to. So the reasons become, well, it's too hard, or it's too much, or I can't do it, or it's too time consuming, nobody really cares anyway. I might as well just stick with what I'm doing. It's working out. Everything will be okay. I mean, is okay really what you're after? Is it really what you're after? Because when all of those reasons that we create start to hit, right? When we kind of go, okay, I'm going to, and then we go, oh, I'm not sure if I want to, and then we start making all those reasons why we don't want to, or we start coming up with the excuses of why not to. Then what happens? What happens from there? We start feeling tired. Like life gets tiring, gets a little bit boring, and then fatigue kind of sets in. Like, ooh, I'm not sure if I really want to get up and do this again. It's monotonous and tedious, and so it becomes fatiguing. And then after that, then it's almost like you get a tightness in your chest, and that feeling starts to kind of get heavier and heavier, and as time goes on, it starts to feel like it's just a trap. It's a constant rat race. You're constantly in this maze, and this just keep going and repeating, right? It's literally, like everyone says, the definition of insanity. I mean, that's kind of how it feels when you set yourself up for something you want to do, and then you shut it down right away with a bunch of excuses as to why not. Then you just keep going back into that hole, that down spiral of, oof, this just doesn't, I feel heavy now. I feel unproductive. I feel like I can't breathe. I feel tired. I feel alone. The solitude is lonely. The solitude sometimes can be messy and painful. And then where does all of that go? Well, a lot of times it gets taken out on other people, right? It gets taken out on our kids or our relationship or coworkers at work, or we blame somebody else for it. They're the problem. That's the reason. But the whole thing is that it's you. Like, you have to pay attention to who's really having this conversation with you. Who is it? Could it be your higher self, your actual self, that's actually having the conversation, that says even no one cares, actually meaning you don't? Could it be that your spirit is actually talking to you about you're not caring about me? I'm missing out on you, and you're missing out on me. When we're not whole, then there's a disconnect within, and that disconnect appears and shows up in so many other places outside of yourself. So that's the thing, is whatever that dream is, whatever that goal is, do it. Just take one step. And if you're having a hard time taking that step, then you gotta at least start somewhere. So here's my suggestion. Start with breathing. Just breathing in and out of your nose, high into your forehead, and expanding your body out as you breathe. actually feeling what life feels like in that moment, the inhale and the exhale of life, right? The next thing would be to get present. How do you get present? My best suggestion for this is ground yourself. Find a way to either go outside or get on the floor even. Like literally, when I say ground yourself, I mean ground yourself. Because that helps bring you back present. And then the next thing is get real, right? And I don't mean get really into your excuses. I mean get real as into, okay, what do I really want? And are all of these things I'm telling myself actually happening? Am I really not good enough for that? Is it really that no one cares? Is it really that it's too hard, or am I just being lazy? Is it really that it's too much, or am I just not seeing any hope? You know, am I not actually being with hope and faith and trust? You know, you kind of actually got to get real with yourself. And then listen to really what your higher self wants. What does your higher self want? What is it that is something that is really nagging and digging at you to get started doing? Is it some business that you've always wanted to create? Is it some relationship you've always wanted to fix, or a new one you've always wanted to have? Right? Like, get real about where you are and really what you want. And then get started. Whatever it takes, get started. If it's something that you have to invest in, do it. Even a little bit. Just get started. Put something down on it so that you know you're working toward it. Or if it's something that, you like weight loss, for instance, exercise, whatever it is, like get started. Even if it's just an additional 10 steps a day, get started with it. If it's a business, get planned. You know, it doesn't, I'm not going to sit there and say plans always work, right? Because you got to actually kind of work with that, with the universe to do it. Because sometimes those plans don't always just work perfectly. But at the same time, get started with the plan. And then you got to let go and go, okay, this is really what I want. And if it doesn't go this exact way, if we're talking about plan, it doesn't go this exact way, then it creates the opportunity to actually look at, okay, what do I need to course correct within that? But at least get started. Again, walk the extra 10 steps, breathe a little bit more, meditate a little bit longer, call up that person that you need to talk to. Find a way to actually put some skin in the game. Some skin in the game. A little bit risky, a little bit vulnerable, even just a little bit. And you might actually find that you start to like that vulnerability. That vulnerability can be fun. It can be enlightening. It can be empowering. And really, it's about letting you in. So when's that going to happen? Like, I was sick for a bit. I kind of wanted to be sick. I didn't really want to be sick. I'm not going to say that. My own little story is that whenever I finally make time for me, it means I don't have time for my kids. And whenever I make time for me, somehow I end up getting sick. And it's my own little guilt trip of leaving my kids for a weekend or whatever. But it also reminds me that I have to take time for me. It reminds me that I need that time for me. It reminds me that it's okay and that they'll be okay. So that's the thing, is that even when something circumstantial that seems out of whack, there's always something there for us to get from it. So for me, sometimes feeling a bit under the weather is a bit of a blessing. Even though it's not necessarily great for my body. Anyway, the point is, I went on a tangent, but the point is get started. Get started with what you want to do. Write down what you want to do. Again, breathe, get present, get real, listen, and then get started. Okay? I'm back. You guys are back. It's time to start conversating again. Like, let's start having this conversation again. Well, let's open this back up. What do you guys really want? And when are you going to start? If the answer is not now, by the way, like right now, then we've got some clearing we got to do. All right? So let's get started. Okay, everybody was here. I love you. Thanks for joining. I will see you guys on Friday. Bye.